Hello there, my name is Ariel Ramsey and I am a local business owner, tax advisor, accountant, and investor here in the beautiful city of Denver, Colorado. When I bought my business to Denver in 2018, I was searching for ways for me to be able to not only save money, but reduce my tax liability, and that's when I discovered the Colorado Enterprise Zone Tax Credit Program. So I'm going to be going over that with you guys today and sharing my findings with you, and just making it a little bit easier for you to be able to utilize this program as well. Let's jump right in. So let's talk about what an enterprise zone is. So here in the state of Colorado, we have 16 designated geographic areas that are considered to be enterprise zones. And the reason why is that they are considered to be what's called in economic distress. So these actual areas have higher unemployment rates and lower income rates. And we're going to jump into the actual metrics of those. But a lot of the times when business owners hear that, they're like, why would I want to put my business in an area that has high unemployment and low income? Well, when you're a business owner, you're taking an investor mind state into setting up your business, right? We want to be really strategic and think about it from the long hold, right? So these areas are lower than the state average, but in 5 to 10 years, they'll be on pace with the state average. So just like if you were investing in the stock market, you'd want to buy low and sell high. This is your opportunity to be able to do that here in the state of Colorado with your own business, okay? So we're going to get into the different tax credit programs here and actually how the incentives work. Before we actually get into the programs, let's talk a little bit numbers. And I'm not going to get too nitty gritty and get you guys all the details of the numbers. I'm going to do it from an overview standpoint. And the reason why I do this is I like to compare apples to apples, right? If we're talking about the average state, what makes an economic distress area to be a little bit below the average for Colorado? So here in the state of Colorado, we have a population of 5.6 million inhabitants, okay? Of those 5.6 million inhabitants, we're actually growing at a rate of 6.5 on average in the state. So to be in one of the enterprise zones, your growth for that area has to be below 1.6. So when you really compare that, it's not that much lower. And again, when we look at it from a long hold perspective, these areas are going to catch up, okay? Also, the unemployment rate here in the state of Colorado on average is 5.2%, okay? In the in the enterprise zones, these economic distressed areas, the unemployment rate has to be 5.8% or higher. So again, not really that far off the mark. And if businesses set up in these areas, those rates are going to decrease. Lastly, here in the state of Colorado, the per capita income is about $34,000 per year. In the economically distressed areas, it's about $27,000. So really, again, we're not asking businesses to go into areas that are super impoverished. They're just a little bit lower than the state averages, okay? But they're gonna get there, they're gonna catch up, and this is your opportunity to grow with these areas. So let's talk about the actual programs. Again, this is more of an overview video. We're gonna get into the nitty gritty. We're gonna get really detailed in our next video series, but I'm gonna go through and just kind of explain these 8 different programs. If one of these catches your eye or several of them catch your eye, I really do recommend that you watch the more detailed videos, but I'm just gonna give you a brief rundown on how the programs work. Okay, so the very first one is called the Enterprise Zone Job Training Tax Credit. This is a great one if you want to teach people new skills. So my business, we do taxes and accounting. This is a skill set that you have to learn. I can write off the costs that are qualified for being able to train my team. Really great tax credit program if you're teaching people new things, okay? The next one is to be able to hire new employees in these enterprise zones. And the reason why this is so great, because this is directly attacking those lower unemployment rates by giving and creating new job opportunities for people living in these areas that are considered to be in economic distress. There's also incentives for you if you are a business owner and you're hiring to offer health insurance, which is a really great benefit, and then get a great tax credit and write it off, okay? If you're in the technology industry, you're developing apps, you're working with software, you're getting into innovation, there's great tax credits as well in this R&D tax credit program. We also have a vacant commercial building tax credit. So as we know, COVID came in and it took a lot of business owners out of business. And we have a ton of these areas where we have shopping complexes and there's no one there. If you take one of those buildings that are vacant, rehab it, and create your own commercial enterprise in there, you can write off you're eligible for that tax credit as well. There's also the commercial vehicle tax credit. So a lot of talk is going on right now about starting a commercial fleet, getting your CDL, getting into the business of moving goods. If you're wanting to invest in your own commercial fleet, here in the state of Colorado, there are tax credits for that, okay? We have two more. We've got the investment tax credit. This is a really great way. And again, we talked a little bit about the investor mind state, but I want to help us be able to switch that mind state from being able to only invest in big stocks like Apple or Google and being able to see the opportunities within our community, right? A lot of us have friends or even ourselves that are enterprising and we need investors. If you were to invest in a friend or a business that is in your community, you can make a difference and write that off on your taxes. So this is a really great one for people that are wanting to take their money and make it work for them. The last one is what's called the sales and use tax credit. And this is for manufacturing businesses. Again, we do a lot of manufacturing overseas. Let's bring some of that back into our own communities and write that off on our taxes. So this is just an overview of the program. We're going to get nitty gritty in the next video series. And so you can kind of pick and choose what programs work for you or watch them all. But these are really great ways for you to save money. And this is what the program is all about. So another question that business owners have is, where are these enterprise zones? And we're going to jump into an interactive map. The Office of Economic Development and International Trade has a great resource so that you can figure out if your business is currently in an enterprise zone or if an area that you're looking at is considered an enterprise zone. So let's get into my screen and I'll show you how you can figure that out. Okay. So here we are on the Colorado Office of Economic Development and International Trade website, and we're actually on the page where it is all about the Enterprise Zone program. And I will include a link for this URL in the description below. Here you can see right at the bottom, we have the interactive zone. And this map is really interesting because it's very sensitive. So I'm going to show you the best way to be able to determine if your business is in one of these zones. So the first thing that you want to do when you're in the interactive map is press this home button. And when you do that, it actually zooms into the entire box state. Look at our beautiful state of Colorado. You can see that pretty much every area is colored, and any of these zones that have a color in them means that they are an enterprise zone. There's actually some areas that are checkered, and we will talk about those in a whole nother series. Those are what's called enhanced rural enterprise zones, and there's a whole nother group of enterprise zone credits for those. But as you can see, the city of Denver is just this little tiny area here, but this is our metropolitan area. And you could, if you wanted to, zoom in and zoom out, but I recommend just actually going in and searching your business or the location that you're considering to determine if it's in one of the zones that are colored. So my business is called EZTAX, and we're actually located in the city of Denver. I'm going to go ahead and type our address in. We are at the intersection of Leetsdale and Oneida. So as you start typing, you'll notice that the options for the actual address start populating, and this is us. So I'm going to go ahead and press it, and the screen will automatically zoom into that area, and you can tell if you're in an enterprise zone because the area will have a color. So here we are in the enterprise zone that's red, and you can kind of see this is so interesting because across Denver, there's these points where the enterprise zone exists and where it doesn't. So I'm right here on the cusp on the other side of Leetsdale. That's not an enterprise zone, but here on this side we are on one. So this is a great tool if you're wanting to explore the areas, if you're thinking of setting up shop. Run it into this tool, put the address in here, and check to see if you're actually in an enterprise zone, because if you are, then you qualify for these tax credits. So the last thing you may be wondering is, how do I qualify and how do I claim these credits? Well, it's a 4-step process, and while 4 steps don't seem like it's that much, the process is actually pretty intensive. So my first recommendation is to work with a qualified or experienced tax preparer like myself or my firm here at EZTAX Denver, and we can help you be able to go through this application process and make it a breeze for you. But the very first step that you do have to do is set up your application portal with the Office of Economic Development and International Trade. And so one of the things that you'll come across when you set up your application portal, you'll create that username, you'll create the password, and then you won't be able to log in for about 48 hours. So if you do run into that, don't get frustrated. That's just how the program works. It takes about 48 hours before you can actually access the portal. Once you're in, you have to do first what's called pre-certification. So this is what you do before you're able to get the certificate. You'll go through the pre-certification, and I did include here in my presentation a link to the pre-certification walkthrough. I am going to do a whole video showing you how to pre-certify, and I'm going to use my business as an example if you're more of a visual learner and you like to follow along with the video. But if you're good at using a step-by-step guide, that link is a really great resource to be able to go through the entire pre-certification process. After your pre-certification application is approved, you'll have to do what's called a certification application, right? And again, that one has to go through many steps. It has to get approved. I've also included a link with step-by-step guides, but we'll do it together via video as well. The last thing that you have to do is get your certificate, and you'll bring it to your tax preparer, and that's where they'll claim your credits when you file your annual state income tax. So that was an overview of how the program works. If this is something that you're excited or interested about, we'd love to chat with you more and really determine if this model fits for your business, and then help you go through these 4 steps with ease and grace. So give us a call today at EZTAX Denver, and our phone number is 303-305-4363. Thanks so much.